Two books of Isur Ve'eter, and this is the most okay. You see beautiful printed, beautiful press, beautiful printing from Krakow, the first printed book in Krakow, and after that there is a break for some decades. And now you see the page. I apologize about the bad Xerox that I made many years ago. Why I bring you here? Because here you see how the page of Sharidura, even it was copied into printing. That's the way that you can imagine how the manuscript looked like. You see the Sharidura, Basar Shenimlecha V'Shalta וכו', and all the Hagahot that you can find around it as if it's manuscript. He imitates the printer imitates the manuscript. And we know it. Basically, the page of the Talmud, it's also imitation. The Toises. But here it's much, here you can understand about what Rama is speaking about. Yes?
There's multiple.
That is multiple. I have many pages from that, but I think that it's enough. I believe that you understand what I mean. Here you see, there is a text, a main text, and look how many kind of Hagahot you can see, and even within Hagahot, within the other Hagahot. That, just to understand one sentence in the introduction to Torat Chatat. Zot Torat Chatat, to be, Zot Torat Chatat. What Rema claims against the editions of Torat Chatat. Editions, either editions or manuscripts, it's the same. They took a manuscript and copied it as if it's manuscript. But we know that from many books, even Kabbalah, even in Halakha. Not many, but there are. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go on. Why does it move? It is.
This is
back.
That we read. We read already. This also we read. Now, if you wish, somebody can. You read it. על כן אני, משה בן אדוני אבי מורי, היה קצין וראש ורב ישראל, או איסרליין, זכר צדיק לברכה, הנקרא מוישה איסרלס מקרוקה. ראיתי כי טוב הוא לסדר סידור נכון בכל דיני סידור והיתר הנמצאים בשערי דורה, ולכתוב אותם על פי סדר סימניו בשערי דורה, בדרך קצר ולא בפלפול ארוך, והוויות דאביי ורבא, כדי שיהיה נקל להבין לכל אדם, קטן וגדול שם הוא. My program is, says Rema, to write it from the beginning. I put myself in the place of Rabbi Yitzchak of Dun. I'm rewriting it from the beginning, but now I know exactly who is the audiences, who is the public of readers. Not as it was when people publish again and again or copy again and again, and we didn't understand to whom they applied. I know exactly to whom I'm applying. I'm not applying to scholars, to תלמידי חכמים. I'm applying כדי שיהיה נקל להבין לכל אדם קטן וגדול שם הוא. So from this point of view, if I understand it fully, and I believe that I do, he first time in the history of the high elite rabbinical class, somebody write a book that apply both to scholars and simple people. There are books that are written to Katan v'Gadol, but to Katan and Gadol, two kinds of books. Okay. But he's tried to find a way to publish books, not books, the Shulchan Aruch, the same, and other books that he intended to do. What is going to overcome? He's going to overcome the scholarly, old, traditional writing of the high Ashkenazi elite. To write not with thinking about the Hilchet HaKibat, not to think that always the text is live and could be changed all the time. That's the most important thing. Because and we have to try to find the last one and to think who is the rabbi that I would like to follow him. But I'm writing to unify the text, to write a text that will fit to everybody. Okay?
What do you mean?
This means he understands that everything changed. He thinks that the old Ashkenazi tradition came to its end. Okay? And he starts new time.
What do you mean? What do you mean at the first? The first that writing to the public?
Publishing.
You're saying, let's say the Torah.
He is the
you think-
first
you
to
think-
formulate book that apply to everybody, not because it's idyllic, just because in fact everybody
So
can.
you think that the Torah only wrote this book for the scholars?
It depends.
It doesn't look like in the Zakdama for the Torah.
Because
It looks like it
Orach
says-
Chaim was written to everybody.
Oh, so
But
it wasn't
only
it's
Orach
not the
Chaim.
first time that someone
No, I speak about the first time in the printed press era.
printed press.
The
Okay.
printed press era.
Okay.
Okay.
This event is a little bit
What?
is more esoteric. The first
Oh, exactly. That's exactly the opposite.
It was always a Polish.
No. You're right. The idea, you are going in the right way, but you're wrong. Why? Because Isur Veheter, it's not esoteric. Isur Veheter, everybody like to know how to make decision about something happened to it. They learn. That's what is claimed. That everybody do what is not right to do. That's what is understand. Isur Veheter was very popular.
Like Hilchos
book.
Shabbos today.
Yes, but even now we are going to Rabbi. No, if you have, first of all, we don't have a problem because it's in the factory. It goes in the mashchita. But it happened.
Then everybody had their backyard.
Exactly, and they knew the Isur Veheter is the most important thing. Speak publicly, not about the halachic. I wrote one of the papers that I sent to you. It's called מעבר לגבולות ההלכה, I think. מעבר לגבולות ההשכלה. No, another book. Another papers that I'm not sure that I sent to you. That I think I try to compare between the minhag, Ashkenaz minhag, to the minhag of the Rema time. That the most important thing, what happened is that everything that I don't like to come to it now. If I didn't send, I will send it later. Now, I would like to say one thing. I would like to say that even a book like Sharidura, that Sharidura with all his gilgulim, was open to everybody. First of all, as a very popular book in manuscript, and after that, when it was printed, Rema decided to finish the story and to write another book instead of it, to change it, not to let it continue as the authoritative text of Isur Veheter in the community. And it's community, not the yeshiva. You have to remember, Isur Veheter, everybody tried to know something about it. Everybody tried to learn Isur Veheter and to make his own decisions, at least in simple things. Okay? So he decided that there's no way, because the book doesn't fit to such a community. So he's not trying to convince people don't learn Isur Veheter, the opposite. I'm going to prepare something that fits to you. What the first thing that he has to overcome? The glossary. To stop doing the glossary. I'm going to write a new text, clean text, go straight
To the point.
to the point. If you think a bit, let's see what is the next text. No, that's Haggadah. I will come to it just to show you what the Olam, the word of the Haggadah is. But what I like to claim, and it's very important to say, this is the project of Rema. The project of Rema is to prepare a new library. He started it with Zot Torat HaChatat, and he continued with the decision to add his notes to Rema, to Shulchan Aruch. Why did it? He not did it just for Balebatim. He didn't do that at all to Balebatim. Although he knew that Balebatim, the book became going to be available to everybody. He prepared a new scholarly library too. He's going to teach in his yeshiva, and I didn't send you the papers that I wrote about the program, the program of his yeshiva. Seder Limud in Rema Yeshiva. He tried to clean the classical library from the Haggadah, to prepare new texts that start to lead. It's almost the project of Beit Yosef. Beit Yosef did the same, but he did it more heavily way in the but he applied. Never mind. I don't have to come let's judge just the Polish Yeshivot. Okay? So I finished the discussion now. No, let's come now to the question of the Hagahot. I would like to present you now a manuscript that I worked on it many years ago. My first paper before I finished my dissertation was about Kitzur Mordechai shel Rabbi Shimshon. This is Mordechai. Kitzur Mordechai. Kitzur Mordechai means a textbook based on the Mordechai that was prepared in special yeshiva. Which yeshiva in this case? Rabbi Shimshon. Yes?
Do we know who he was?
Okay, yes, of course. It's Rabbi Shimshon. He was in the 14th century. He died some years before the Black Death, and I will send you the paper if you wish. This is a manuscript that you can see. What I like to show you here, it's not the Mordechai itself. Just look how the margin of the page is looking. You see? You can see all around the page, you can see how students, it was done by students who copied the authoritative book as if authoritative, because it's temporarily authoritative. You see it, the Mordechai, and each of you, I believe, know how authoritative in Ashkenazi culture was the Mordechai. And look, you can see all the Hagahot around it. Okay? Here you can see it much clearer. Again and again, more and more Hagahot. Each of them reflects a class with Rabbi Shimshon. Yes? And Rabbi Shimshon, I forgot the name. I'm really sorry. I don't have here it's one of the Rosh Yeshivos of the Rhine Valley in 14th century. And here you can see it again. Here you can see the changing of the Ktav Yad of two copies. The first copy was done by a student of Rabbi Shimshon, and the second part of the volume was done by one who copied the Mordechai with the footnotes. It's put it in. It's
then you put it
in the main text. I can show it. I think that I have. This is the end of one of the. Yes. Now I would like to show you something very interesting. Here you have some decades later, when the copy was ready. We have two copies from this from Mordechai of Rabbi Shimshon. The guy who is the most important figure in the copies of the Mordechai of Rabbi Shimshon was Rabbi Yitzchak Asir HaTikva. He was one of the Rosh Yeshivot in the time of the Black Death, and he immigrated with his all his students to Jerusalem, and he lived there. And then all his decisions are here in the footnotes, but not here. Here in this one, here somebody took the Mordechai of Rabbi Shimshon, collected all the Hagahot, only the Hagahot. He collected all the Hagahot and published it as a book for itself. This is very important thing, and you have to look at it. I would like to explain what he did. He collected it as a pinkas. Now it became a text for itself. At the beginning it wasn't a text. It wasn't just a glossary. After some decades, it became authoritative for itself. They collected it, they copied it as a book, and they published it as pinkas. Here is a pinkas. That's the title that I gave to it. Mi'agahot lePinkas. The Pinkas, it's very important genre in the Ashkenazi culture, but I can't read it here, I think.
Can you read
I
what
can't
Kitav
read
is
it. What?
What Kitav is it? It's Ashkenazi Kitav?
It's Ashkenazi what?
Writing.
It's Ashkenazi writing, absolutely. It's Ashkenazi writing. And here he mentioned what he did. I had to prepare the text. In the text it says, I took all the decisions that were done by Rabbi Shimshon and Rabbi Yitzchak Asir HaTikva, and I gathered it together, and now we have all the halachot. You have to remember that's the beginning of the minhagim. That of the literature of minhagim, Ashkenazic minhagim, came from such a thing. It's not authoritative as a text that was done by a Poisek.
Where does it write? Which
I can't read it. I
because I
don't.
could zoom in.
Zoom in here. See? Here, do you see the magnifier? Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Albert.
Exactly. See? See what's happening now?
No, read it here. That's what he
You can
likes.
magnify even more.
Second, which one?
But
It's easier to know.
كان شمال.
no. Never mind. Let's leave it because we have a lot of work. Okay, let's leave it now. Okay, I don't like commentary. So now I would like to show you another thing from the old Ashkenazi Yeshiva. This is a manuscript that Pilpul. This is Pilpul. We don't need it for our discussion later, but I would like to show you how it looks like the page of Pilpul. This is Pilpul. Look at the huge part of the margin. How wide are the margins of the page? So here we have a Pilpul that was done by a scholar, by Rosh Yeshiva, and they leave from the beginning. They leave the most of the part of the parchment just to write, to add, to change, to discuss, and to make a debate. Look at it. I will show you some of them. Here it's empty, but you can look how wide is it. The same here. Here you see how many footnotes they have around the page, and again, and let's leave it. I'm going back to the yeshiva. Okay? So till now, I'm not sure that I'm clear. I feel that I'm not. Sorry?
You're very clear.
Okay. So we paid attention for two things. We paid attention for the old yeshiva with the principle of Hilchot Batrei. We said that in the printing press, the printing of the texts like Sharidua, like Beit Yosef, as Rabbi Yoel added to us, like Vikuach Ma'im Chayim, like Zot Torat Chatat, started a new epoch, a new epoch in the history of the yeshiva. The text, as without ur-text, the thinking about the text, as a text that all the time can be changed, it's over. It couldn't exist anymore because it's printed. But we can be sure that even though something of the past has to be stay for many generations, so we are not jump immediately from the manuscript time to the printed press time, as all over Europe happened in the universities and even in the Sephardic Yeshivot, that they care about the ur-text, about the original writing, because let me dedicate some sentences to the meaning of the lack of ur-text. The lack of ur-text makes the text open. All the time is still open. All the time people can discuss it. All the time can edit and take off. And it's let's call it, if you agree with me, oral tradition or semi-oral at least. They have something that they know what Talmud is, what Mordechai is, but they feel open to do whatever they think, whatever they want. Feel allowed to do whatever not whatever they want. It's of course it's restricted and they know exactly what they're doing, but basically it's new. It's another text. It's not a text. It's a clear-cut text that we relate it to the author, but the text that all the time changed by the classes, by the shiurim of Roshei Yeshivot, and the glossary that added by the students to the shiurim. Okay. So, what I like to say now is that all the way of the Ashkenazi culture, even after the printing press, it's not as the European culture, it's not as the Sephardic culture, they have their own way of thinking, their own way of learning and teaching. So we have to expect a sort of debate about it. It's not easy to change from one situation to another in culture. It's for sure, you can be sure always that somebody will argue against the novelties, against the new wave, and other will encourage it as much as they can. For example, if somebody read my paper about the coming of the Bible, of the printed Bible to Prague, about the debate, Poznan debate, somebody mentioned it. You? Who read somebody told me?
Said, but
Yes. That's exactly the same. That there is a Rabbi Yosef Ashkenazi from one hand, that he opposed all the news. He, of course, opposed what Rema is going to do here, and he adapted the all new. And Avram Horowitz adapted enthusiastically the Moreh Nevuchim, the printed Moreh Nevuchim, and the learning of and all the Sephardic interpretation of the Bible. If somebody wish, you can find it in the collection of papers. Okay? So we have to expect a debate about the new wave in the Ashkenazi culture now. Is everybody with me till now? Would you like to open to question?
No.
Now we are going to deal with the discussion about what happened in Reb Shalom Shachne Yeshiva. Reb Shachne in the class, let me say, the everyday life in the yeshiva going like that. The most important text that we learned in the yeshivot was the poskim. What's a poskim? Means they learn mostly they learn, I speak about the second half of the 15th century, early 16th century. The Turim became the most important book to teach poskim, to teach halacha. They learn Gfat, Gemara, Perush, Tosfot. They just to know how to learn Gemara. And they learn Pilpul. Pilpul was very rare, very prestigious, but they was forbidden to write it. It was forbidden to write it down. It wasn't to copy it. Just such a gymnastic for the brain to know how to learn, how to just to train the students how to make kushiyot and how to prepare terutzim and how to understand the combination, the structure of the sugya, and we'll learn about it perhaps next time. Okay? So I expected the vikuach ben traditionalists, let's call them traditionalists, and revolutionists as Rema was, as somebody who Rema was for sure the one who was more open to every changes that happened to the yeshiva world. Vikuach Mayim Chaim, it's one of the most sophisticated. So the Vikuach Mayim Chaim basically it's glossai on Zot Torat Chatat. They learn Zot Torat Chatat. It was written by Reb Chaim ben Betzalel. Have you heard about this guy? Brother of Maharal. Unfortunately, he was a brother of Maharal. If he was not, everybody knew about him because he was a genius, original scholar, highly important one. But unfortunately, his brother was much more important than he was. And he was a student of Reb Shalom Shachne together with Rema. They learned poskim together in the same years. He wrote a lot of things. He has Pirushon Rashi. He has many things that he did. Sorry? Pirkei Avos. He was very interesting figure. That he was a rabbi at the end. He was in many places. He was at the end. He was a rabbi in Friedberg, close to Frankfurt am Main, and he was conservative. Let's say conservative means the real meaning of the word. Shomran. What does it mean Shomran in this way? He opposed, together with his brother, together with Maharal that we used to look at him as modernist because his Machshava was the most conservative scholar that you can guess if you come to Limud Torah. Nobody is more. Sorry?
In Be'er HaGoyli you see it.
Be'er HaGoyli is another thing. No, Be'er HaGoyli is not, it doesn't say. About Shomranut Torah b'chol makom about Limud. The most important text that he opposed all what we are going to learn now about the Polish Yeshivot, and we'll finish it only next time, not now, is the drasha לשבת הגדול, drasha לשבועות, דרוש למתן תורה. דרוש, דרוש על התורה, דרוש, no, דרוש על התורה. Yes, one of his drushim is drush al Torah that he gave in Poznan, in Poland itself, and attacked what happened in the yeshiv, in the Polish Yeshivot in the way that nobody did besides him. Absolutely, he opposed all the novelties that we are going to follow. We are going to follow now. Okay, so but let's start not with Maharal. Let's start with Reb Chaim Betzalel. Okay, this is but the Vikuach Mayim Chaim, it's divided for us for two parts. The first part is the glossary, the Agaot of Vikuach Mayim Chaim on Torah Chatat. He attacked Rema in a way that, in very sharp words, and argue with him about many things. But that's nothing. Why not? That's the way of learning, at least in Ashkenazi Yeshivot. That's the way of learning, that you put a goal and argue with the students. Like the daf, it's a sort of bes medrash, that you argue with the
פתיחה.
נקודת פתיחה. So he wrote הערות on the תורת חטאת. השגות. Not always. It's the הערות. Some of them it's השגות, some of them it's הגאות. Okay? כלומר, all of them it's הגאות, some of the הגאות are even השגות. Some of them are very sharp השגות, you're right. Okay? But the most important thing for us, as the scholars that like to understand what happened to the Polish Yeshivot, is the Akdama. He wrote unbelievable introduction to the Vikuach Mayim Chaim, and this is the manifestus of the old Ashkenazic understanding of the Halacha. And there is no text like that in the world. I recommended you, I can send you what I made a copy for myself before the time of the digitization, sorry. And if you wish, I can send it to you.
Right.
That's the most important text that we have, and nobody dealt with this till now. I mentioned it in the paper that I sent to you in English about the attitude of the Ashkenazi rabbinics to the printing press. But it's only partial. It's much deeper, much important. But what you are going to learn now, it's not what they say about the Ashkenazi attitude, and just because the ways it argue with Rema, because it can take us further forward to understand the Polish Yeshivot. What's going with the two directions, the two directions of the not the schools, the two directions, the Yeshivot. At the end, it's the two Yeshivot. Okay. Sometimes a bit exaggerating in these formulations, like the first one in the passage that I'm going to read with you now. Kemo, everybody can read?
Yeah.
It's clear?
Yeah.
Okay. I can say because I have to take my classes to look how is it. It's very nice, but it's better than me. But I am here. כמו שלא יערב לו לאדם, it's not tasty for a man, רק המאכל שיתקין לו הוא עצמו. I'm not sure that everybody will agree with him. I believe not. כמו שלא יערב לו לאדם, רק המאכל שיתקין לו הוא עצמו, כפי אשר תאווה נפשו. לאכול. Only the food that you prepare for yourself, exactly as you wish, only that was tasty for you. And he never would like to be samuch al shulchan chavro. He never liked to eat the food that was prepared for him in the house of his friend. כך לא יערב לו הוראות זולתו, אלא אם כן יסכים דעתו עליו. Wow, this is strong sentence that you have to understand. That's the reason that never you can depend yourself on the decisions of others. You can be sure that he's not speaking about everybody. Not about the people who added their additions to Sharidura, that Rema, it's only for Talmidei Chachamim. But even with Talmidei Chachamim, you have to decide for yourself. There is no כך לא יערב לו, reread it. לא יערב לו הוראות זולתו, אלא אם כן יסכים דעתו עליו. כן? we have to reread decisions. If you did made a decision. I cannot depend it with closed eyes. I have to discuss it for myself, to think about it, and only then it's made as if I did it by myself. וכל שכן, more than that, now we came to the debate, to the argumentation, כן לא יהיה רב להוראות זולתו, וכל שכן שאינו רוצה, I can sign it, sorry, וכל שכן שאינו רוצה להיות סמוך על ספרי המחברים האחרונים שאין דעתו סומך עליהם. כמו שלא יהיה רב, that's a very important point, that if he could not depend on the decision of his friend, of course he cannot be depend on the decision of all the ספרי האחרונים, that you are not sure what does it mean, but I believe that he speaks about שולחן ערוך. about the שולחן ערוך. כן? וכל שכן שאינו רוצה להיות סמוך על ספרי המחברים האחרונים שאין דעתו סומך עליהם. Yes? Is that clear? Be careful, because there is a trap here. כמו שלא ירב לו, לאדם, רק המאכל, שיתקין לו הוא עצמו, exactly as a man, it tasty for him only what he prepares for himself, as he want, as he is תאווה נפשו לאכול ואינו מצפה להיות. Never mind. Go to the end of this sentence.
This is a says.
להיות על שולחן, this is a hint, very clear and not so sophisticated hint. Yes, that means to שולחן ערוך. ולזה מנעו הראשונים, look, that's the sentence that I would like to speak about it. לזה מנעו הראשונים מלחבר שום ספר מיוחד לקבוע מנהג בהלכה לרבים. That not only Shaidua, it's forbidden to write books. That's the reason the Rishonim forbidden everybody to write a special book that will fix the minhag in halacha to the public. There is forbidden to write. Look, we will come to it soon. Don't worry. We have something more clear. Just a moment. Let me finish. ולזה תימה, now we come to the attack on Rema, ולזה תימה ופלא על הרב רבי מוישה, אשר חיבר ספר מיוחד. He did it. Although the Rishonim forbid to write books, come here we have Rema, and he wrote a book. He wrote את זאת תורת החטאת. Okay? זאת תורת החטאת. We wonder on רבי מוישה, אשר חיבר ספר מיוחד, it didn't pay attention for all those things that I wrote, means to the issue to write a special book of halacha.
Such a tradition.
Let's see.
Is he the first one who mentions such a kind of tradition?
He formulated as tradition. But we had, till now, as scholars, we have to ask ourselves if it's a real tradition or not. Or perhaps say just you know how many traditions, as if tradition, were invented in the last decades in our life. It's always the same here. Now questions.
Okay, now we'll give 5 minutes, and then there's a last break, and then we do the last thing. Rapshai.
What's the
I
time?
don't have a question.
No, any questions?
I think that I want to add in something.
He's asking what does it mean Manuel Shanim that they make a sefer
Back live.
That's it? On the question?
That's it. We're back live.
Okay. How long I can...
not half. I want them. I'm going to show you.
No, again I made the same mistake, sorry. Okay. Another half an hour?
Yeah.
So that means that in the next might be okay.
אין הפסקה. נגמור עכשיו.
ובלתי ספק, רב חיים בצה"ל continue to speak. ובלתי ספק לא היה נעלם ממנו מרמה. He's a friend of him. They learn together. ובלתי ספק, now we come straight into the class. Now he describes the poskim in Lublin, in the Yeshiva of Reb Shalom Shachner. ובלתי ספק, לא היה נעלם ממנו, מרמה, רמה I wrote of course, גם כן כי בעת שלמדנו יחד, when we learned together in ישיבת הגאון המופלא מורנו רב שכנזר, לשכנו, you know, usually they called שין כף נון וו.
Shechna Sidrish.
Shechna Sidrish.
He was a messianic figure.
Yes.
You're going to talk about that too?
No, שכנות תדרשו, no, absolutely not. He wrote שכנזר like in this way. בישיבת הגאון המופלא מורנו רב שכנזר, ושמענו ממנו השערים מדורה. They learned together איסר ויתר, זה שערים מדורה. Look, they write שערים, not שערי דורה. שערים מדורה. ספר השערים, that is the genre, that was written by רבי יצחק דורה. אנחנו, we, the students, ask him again and again, that he will compose, זה שיראה לחבר וללקט יחד כל דיני איסור והיתר בסדר נכון. They ask him, why don't you compose a book that we can reread again and again and to learn the halachot? And he didn't like to do that. ואין ספק שאינו אלא מטעם זה שכתבתי. He didn't agree to write a book and to sum up all the theories that he gave in the classes just because it's forbidden to write it. Okay? That's a very interesting thing. Now, that's the end of this passage. Sorry. וזה לי כמו תזיין by the way, his book was published only in תפעין, in more than 70 years after the yes. It doesn't say that it wasn't accepted. It doesn't say, remember, all the theories of yeshivot were transmitted from one generation to another by manuscript because they didn't have money. They don't needed to print it. Most of them wasn't printed at all. Just was copied as a manuscript, even in the printed epoch. וזה לי כמו תזיין שנים שנתתי ליבי גם אני ללקט כל דיני איסור והיתר. I decided by myself, מרב חיים בן בצלאל, to organize all the דיני איסור והיתר מספרי הפוסקים, אחד הנה ואחד הנה, וסידרתי אותם בסדר נכון, והיו לאחדים בידי, בתכלית הקיצור. Me, I myself, as a Rosh Yeshiva, not as a student of Reb Shalom Shachner. I myself, just to prepare myself to have a copy, just for my lectures, for my notes, just to be, to remember all the, what I did, all ספרי האיסור והיתר מפסרי הפוסקים, אחד הנה ואחד הנה. I organized them בסדר נכון, והיו לאחדים בידי. I managed to organize it as a book, בתכלית הקיצור. עד היום, till now, I have the copy sealed in my library, כמוס עמדי, חתום באוצרותיי. And the bochers, the Yeshiva bochers, they were in my house. It's very interesting. The Yeshiva bochers lived in the house of the Rosh Yeshiva. It's literally. The Yeshiva bochers lived in the house, not all of them, but some of them lived in the house of Rosh Yeshiva. And he got money for that from the community. If you read the Ktav Rabbanut, you always see the sentence that relate to the situation. בבחורים שהיו אז בביתי גנבו אותו ממני ועמדו והעתיקו אותו בסדר. They were wrong. I keep it for myself just to prepare the classes. But they stole it from me and copied it without saying to me. You know which very important book was come to us exactly in this way? It's Chaim of Chaim Vital.
They dug it out of the grave. That's it.
Yes, they took it from the grave.
Do we have
copies?
Does any copies exist of Reb Chaim ben Reb Tzalel?
No, not as much as I know. והעתיקו אותו בסדר. וכאשר נודע לי, לקחתי מידם. Now he said now we have his interpretation, his own interpretation, what he allowed and what you know, what you not. וכאשר נודע לי, לקחתי מידם אותו העתק, I took them with a copy, angrily, כי לא חיברתי ורק לי לעצמי. I wrote it only for myself. Not as Israelis did, that he published it in curricula in Shin Mem, in Shin Kaftet. להיות לי לעזר, just to help me to remember all the details of the sugya, and not to give it to people that will depend on him and will pass him. Okay? So now I think that I can sum up the ideologies that he tried to formulate, but I said it from the beginning. We have to think if it's real ideology, traditional ideologies that moved from, that was transmitted from one generation to another, or just a new ideology that he looked at it as an it's what we call as historians, after one of the highly interesting historians of modern time, Jew, communist, English, Eric Hobsbawm, he called it invented traditions. Invented tradition. We all the time make invented tradition. We invented something and put it into the, yes. So we have to ask ourselves if this is the real tradition of the Ashkenazi. There is something real, and I said it. What real is, the Ashkenazi tradition, it's liquid. It's not
Fluid.
it's fluid. Sorry, thank you very much. It's fluid. It's always fluid. It's never stamped. But if it's a rule not to write a book, this I believe it's invented tradition that come to out, and soon we'll try to ask ourselves why they have to invent it. What the problem that brought him to invent this tradition. כי לא חיברתי והכלי לעצמי להיות לי לעזר ולהועיל נגד השכחה ולא שיסמוך עליו אדם אחר. Is that clear now, I think? Now we come deeper to the question of writing, forbidden, Isur of writing or not. This text is written by Rabbi Israel. It's the son of Reb Shalom Shachli. He was the head of Yeshiva at Lublin. We know nothing about him, almost nothing. We have the license to build the Yeshiva in Lublin. I don't know what does it mean to build a Yeshiva.
A license?
License.
Permit
Permit.
from the government.
To permit to build a Yeshiva. I really don't know what does it mean, because I haven't heard about a building of Yeshiva until Chachmei Lublin or something like that. There is no Yeshiva. It's an abstract term. It's not a building like we know. Sorry?
In France, the Rashbam's Yeshiva was a...
Are you sure?
I
It
think
depends how we read the text.
You're right.
In fact, we know nothing about Yeshivot as a building, as an
Separate.
institution. But we have the permit to build in Lublin, given to Rabbi Israel. But the only text that we have for him is this one. It's huge tshuva that was, if you can guess, in Rema's responsa, in the Rema's tshuvas. As I told you, there are some tshuvas that were not written by Rema himself, by others. It's part of the problem of editing of this highly important book. We don't have time to speak about everything. All the time that I speak, it's a lecture by itself. And Rema responsa, it's a story by itself. And this is a question about something in Yonei Sofrim, Yonei Ktivat Torah, Sefer Torah. But here he puts something unbelievably interesting. And I would like to read it with you, if you don't mind. Okay? I think it might be that here in this short text, he put all the questions we speak about in a real context. In a real context, if we manage to interpret it in the right way. Okay? וכן קיבלתי הלכה, it's written in שין כ"ט, in שין י"ט, in 1559. How does he know? How does I know that? You will see it by yourself, you don't need me. וכן קיבלתי הלכה למעשה מאדוני מורי אבי הגאון רבן ומאורן של כל בני הגולה, מורנו רב שלום המכונה שחנו. Here it's written שחנו. But שחנו, א' and ו', it's changed. It doesn't mean that he meant to say ושכנות ידרשו ובאת שמה, but in Yiddish, the rules of Yiddish was formulated only in the 19th century, as you know. So you can write it in Aleph and you can write it in Vav. Moreno Reb Shalom, but the how is called it, the double Rashi Tevot.
Right.
Why it's in Rashi Tevot?
Because it's a remes.
No, you have it other way. because it's Laz, it's not Hebrew name. Every word not in Hebrew, they put the ראשי תיבות. Remember, don't try to find the ראשי תיבות.
What does it stand for?
And Shachne means Shachne, it's not Hebrew. It's not a Hebrew name. It's Shachne, it's Yiddish. It's Yiddish or local Yiddish. מורנו רב שלום, המכונה שחנו, זכר קדוש צדיק לברכה, הוא הרייני כפרת משכבו. Means that in the year that Reb Shalom Shachne died.
So you know when it...
Exactly, we know that it's easy to date the tshuva. הרייני כפרת משכבו. It's only 1 year a son has to say after his father. Okay? אשר העמיד תלמידים הרבה מסוף העולם ועד סופו, מפיו אנו חיים וממיו 3 lines of praises, וחי נפשי עולמים. Now, we come to the סוגיה, to the point. וחי נפשי עולמים, דזמנין סגין, many times, I ask many lomdim, many scholars. Sorry, let me read again. ביקשתי עם הרבה לומדים. I ask him with my friends, my followers. With other students, they stood. הרבה לומדים ממנו שיעשה פויסק. פויסק זה פוסקים. In Yiddish you don't have to say plural and singular. Yes? So שיעשה פויסק. means שיכתוב ספר פוסקים. ותשובתו הייתה, look, it's a year after he died, in the year of his death, but then he has his זה מעמד, מחמת רוב חסידותו וענוותנותו, אשר היה עניו יותר מכל האדם. That's not true, by the way, absolutely not. He was very aggressive and very proud, and if you read all the everything that we know about him, to say that he was enough, it's not the right day. כל אדם של בני האדמה, ואמר, look, now, רבותיי, ואמר, יודע אני, דשוב לא יפסקו, כי אם כאשר אכתוב, מטעם דהלכה כבטרה. I don't like to write, because if I write that my halachot, everybody will paskin according of me. מטעם דהלכה כבטרה, not because I'm the most important chochem in Poland, because הלכה כבטרה, and I am the batra. ואין רצוני שיסמכו עליו, I don't like that everybody will paskin like me. He doesn't say here the right way, that there is no, don't... Sorry?
He follows up, keep going.
Yes. רצונו לומר, כגון דאיכא דאיכא פלוגתא ביני רבבתא, ביני לבין רבבתא, והוא יכריע או לפעמים יחלוק, כן? כגון דאיכא דאיכא פלוגתא ביני רבבתא, sorry. There is מחלוקת among גדולים, רבבתא is גדולים. And he will decide, או לפעמים יחלוק, ואין לדיין כי מה שעיניו רואות. לכן יעשה כל אחד לפי הוראת שעה כאשר עשה עם לבבו. This is highly important. This ideology, I believe that this formulation of the ideology is exactly as said Reb Chaim Betzalel. That you have to do every time by yourself. We are not going to write halachot, because you have to decide in each. He said here something more. He said, just a moment. He said here something very important, that each event is changed from the other. There is no, the event doesn't repeat itself.
אז למה הוא מתחיל מרוב חסידותו והבנתו? זה לא שייך פה, כי אם הוא מתחיל בזה, משמע שיכולים לכתוב. Now he's saying it's not because הניב, it's just, he's against ספרי פסק.
Look, there is something what he quoted his father. יודע אני שוב לא יפסקו, כי אם אשר אכתוב מטעם הלכה כבטרה, ואין רבותיי שישמחו. That's what Sholem Shachne says. And now he interpreted his father. כגון דאיכא דאיכא פלוגתא ביני רבבתא, והוא יכריע או לפעמים יחלוק, ואין לה... Might be that I was wrong with the ראשי תיבות, with the סימן של ראשי תיבות, or a quotation mark. Might be that I was wrong and I have to take it to the end. ולכן יעשה כל אדם כפי הוראת שעה כאשר עם לבבו. This is the end. Sorry, I was wrong.
אז אשר היה עניו, It's not a part of explaining why he didn't want to write. It's just, by the way, he writes it in.
Might be. If you make it Tzadkin, also
But we
do whatever you
see
want.
something very different.
But here is very important thing. He's continue or developed the idea that there is no way to write halachot because each event that didn't say that before that, each halacha, each event it's changed. It's not the same as the other. So always you have to judge from the beginning. By the way, that is the right halacha. That's the right way of to pass until now. Till now, the rabbis just look at the
on the Gemara, like the Rishonim did. There's nothing from Rabbi Yakov Polack and Rabbi Shulam Shachna on the Sugis HaTalmud. How come?
I didn't understand. Can you
They
repeat?
don't have. There's no chidushim from Rabbi Yaakov Polack. And
There is
Rabbi
no.
Shachna.
There was. Look at my
The paper.
It's my papers that I wrote some hints to some psakim. The most important thing that he has Rabbi Shimshon, there is Mordechai of Rabbi Yakov Polack. Nobody saw it, but this quotation,
It exists.
There are some quotation from Mordechai of Yakov Polack, Mordechai of Rabbi Shalom Shachne, even Rema, although Rema opposed all the. But he started to
How
teach.
about on the Gemara? On the Gemara, is there any pirish or any?
Look, Chidushim on the Gemara, it's absolutely another thing. We had to speak about it, but not now. We speak about Yam Shel Shlomo. The most important, they opened the gate to the modern interpretation of the Talmud. And we have to speak about it. It might be that next time I'll do that. But I'm not sure. The halacha is another story. Now we speak only about Paskin, about what to write about halacha.
Big purple, no
Go forward.
halacha.
We need to.
What does
Okay.
it mean? Do whatever you want.
No,
10 minutes.
The combination is strong.
you speak like the academic conference. Yeah, all the time. אוקיי. לכן יעשה כל אחד כפי הוראה. רצונו לומר, כגון איך דאיכא פלוגתא בני רבבתא, אמרנו, והוא יוכיח בין הדין כמה שנעבור. לכן יעשה כל אחד כפי הוראת שעה. כפי הוראת שעה means not הוראת שעה. הוראת שעה means now. Now you have to face the question. Now you have the problem. Now you have to pass it according to a very special situation, and you can't compare it to another. ומהי תמה? Now that's the sentence that is very important to us. ומהי תמה? לא עשה נמי רבו, exactly as he behaved, רב שלום שחר. The same רבו הגאון, רב יעקב פולק. That's the reason that they didn't write any book. גם שום תשובה ששלחו למרחוק לא העתיקו בביתם. This is a מנהג that we know from Rema. That he speak about if he managed to copy the תשובה before he sent it back, etc., etc. He never wrote a book. He never wrote a psak. He never copied in his house any תשובה ששלחו למרחוק. They never copied it in the house. אלו הגאונים מהי תמה. חוץ מהכל, זה גם היה נחשב ביניהם יוהרה, אף כי...
This made them look like Yahara that they didn't write?
Yes. No,
No,
they would have write.
if they would write. If they would write.
It was important.
Okay,
If it's important.
so we can interpret it in many ways. I would like to choose, if you don't mind. I will tell you what I look at it. What we see here, I speak as a historian. It's not the Gozer Kuvet, by the way. But I speak from my profession as he what he speaks here is apologetic. He faced the problem of two generations. The old Ashkenazi generation that didn't write, and the opposed writings. And now appears a guy, two scholars, that published the books. Rema, the most important figure, that as I told you at the beginning, he was a man who was the first one not the first one among the printers, not the first one among the merchant books, first one among scholars that has to face the question how to continue to spread the halachot and etc., etc. And he has his own project, as I told you, and I don't like to repeat. So, זאת תורת חטאת, שולחן אורוך, חלק ראשון, and even not חלק ראשון, perhaps later also, תורת העולה, etc., etc., Marshall, that all his books are in Lublin Yeshiva, and other scholars that start to publish, we sponsor, etc., etc. And they asked by people, are you the son of Shalom Shachne? Where? All his material. Where is the material? How can you, what we know about your father, the famous Rosh Yeshiva, where is the material of Rabbi Yakov Polack? The first, the founder of the dynasty of the Polish Yeshiva, where is it? So I look here, if either I'm right or not, there is something apologetic in this text. He say they didn't try it. It looks Yohara. Rabbi Moshe Isserles is a bit Yahir, is a bit Balgaive, just because he published it. That's very important thing for the first generation of printing. And this is the first generation. Although the book, the printing press was invented in 1450 by Gutenberg, now in the middle of the 16th century, it was saturated into the Hebrew library, in the Yeshivish library. It was accepted by scholars. That's the time of the printing press, not the 14th century, and not the early 16th century. Now the crisis of the printing press started, as I wrote even in the Vikuach Poznan, if you read my book. If we speak about the influence, the meaning of the printing press, we have to differ between the printing as an act and accepting it as some in the effect.
That happened in this period.
Now the library of the Yeshivot started to be changed. Okay? So this is apologetic text from my point of view. And now we have to start dealing with the Yeshiva, what's going on in the Polish Yeshiva after the first generation of crisis between conservatives like Marshall and his best medrash, Maharal, that's quite close to him, and I see it, and Rema, that push forward all the new and try to formulate a new library without glossae. That's the reason he wrote Torat Chatat, means he wrote Sharidura from the beginning, and that's the meaning that he prepared Shulchan Aruch. What he meant, to take the first Shulchan Aruch that was without any interpretation, to add, just to complete it, to fit it to the Ashkenazi minhagim, and to teach it as a text. He didn't dreamt about the fact that some decades after that it will cover it from glossae of all the Nosei Kelim, that will cover it from the two sides.
And the shaykhs of the remote Lag BaOmer.
The shaykhs of the Lag BaOmer. Yes, I agree. He died as if he died in Lag BaOmer. If he died in Lag BaOmer, and if he died in
33 years old.
30 years, exactly. Both of them is not true. Anyhow, if somebody would like to ask, that's the time.
You finished now?
I finished.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Let's see if there is something. No, that's another sugya. The next text is the life in the yeshiva.